This lesson specifically discussed how to do unit rate conversions using a proportion. There are other ways to do unit rate conversions, but sometimes people get confused of whether you should use division or multiplication to come up with it, and a proportion is the easiest way to see which one that you should do. So when we're looking at these are some common conversions that you have to do. You will have a star reference chart anytime that you have to do one of these conversions, and remember it's also posted in front of your packet. So each of the above relationships can be written as a unit ratio. So 3 feet per 1 yard, pounds per tons, quarts per gallons. So remember that a unit ratio is where the denominator, the unit is 1. So if we're going to convert 20 feet into inches, we're going to use this unit rate concept to come up with that. So if we are talking about feet into inches, first you want to put the bigger one on the bottom. So feet is a larger unit, and we're going to put inches on top then. Whatever you put on top over there, you're going to put on top over here. So we have 20 feet, and we want to know how many inches that is. So you would look at your star reference chart and see how many feet and inches there are. So there's 12 inches in 1 foot, according to our star reference chart. That's our unit ratio. We then use that concept of cross multiplying and dividing to come up with there are 240 inches in 20 feet. So when we're doing pounds and tons, tons is your bigger unit, so you want to put it on the bottom. And pounds is your larger unit. So your smaller unit. So you want to put that on top. Now, if you would switch these, it doesn't really matter. As long as tons is across from tons and pounds is across from pounds, you're fine. So we have 8,000 pounds in this example, and we want to know how many tons that is. So on our star reference sheet, there are 2,000 pounds to every 1 ton. So I'm going to use my 8,000, and this is 2,000x. I'm dividing by 2,000 to come up with there are 4 tons. Now again, many of you may have just realized, oh, if I divide 8,000 by 2,000, that's 4 tons, done. And many of you may have realized that, oh, if I have 20 feet and there's 12 inches in every feet, I might just have to multiply. And that's fine as well. It's just sometimes you might need to set up a proportion to figure out which one you should do. In this particular example, it says we have 1/4 of a cup of fertilizer. How many ounces is this? So I'm just going to write cups and ounces. I don't care which one's on top or bottom, as long as if I write cup on top over there, I write cup on top over here. So I have 1/4 cup, and I want to know how many ounces that is. So if you look on your star chart, there are 8 ounces in every cup. So as you can see, I kind of wrote this one backwards as far as a unit rate goes, but again, it doesn't matter as long as it's cup and cup, ounce and ounce. So I'm going to be multiplying here. X equals 8 times 1/4. Well, if you remember our fraction unit, 8 times 1/4, this has to be improper. So 8 times 1 is 8, and 1 times 4 is 4, and 8 over 4 is 2. So there are 2 ounces in 1/4 of a cup. So Philip needs 4.5 feet to make costume. We want to know how many yards. So we have feet and we have yards. We have feet and we have yards. He's got 4.5 feet. I need to know how many yards that is. So if I look on my chart, there's 3 feet in every yard, which means I'm going to end up dividing on this particular one, because when I cross multiply, I get a multiplication equation, which means I need to divide both sides by 3. And 4.5 divided by 3 is going to be 1.5. So he needs 1.5 yards. The pork loin is cut into 10 smaller chops. How many ounces does each pork chop weigh? So we have 3 pounds, but that 3 pounds is divided amongst 12 pork chops. So that means that each pork chop is 0.25 of a pound. So if I've got 0.25 pounds, I want to know how many ounces that is. Well, there are 16 ounces in every pound, so I'm going to end up multiplying. So 0.25 times 16 is 4. A bag contains 5 red, 6 yellow, and 3 orange marbles. We're going to give that ratio in all 3 forms. If you watched the ratio, rates, and proportions video, we talked about how to write those ratios in all 3 forms. So we'll just review that now. We're going to be writing a ratio comparing the yellow to the total number of marbles. So I have 6 yellow marbles, and then 6, 5, and 3 is going to be 14. So I have 6 to 14. This is one of the ways you can write a ratio. However, we always want to simplify our ratio. This is divisible by 2, and so is this. So this ratio really should be 3 to 7. We can also write that with the word 2 in the middle, or we can write it as a fraction. And that's how we write our ratio in all 3 forms. Elise paid $13.50 for 3 bracelets. What's the unit price per bracelet? You can either write a proportion for this, where $13.50 is 3 bracelets. What's the price of 1 bracelet? Or you can just divide, because $13.50 for 3, if I divide that, it'll tell me what is per, because remember that word per means divide. So each bracelet is $4.50. Again, as long as you show your work, I don't care which way you do it. So that's all for this lesson. Please make sure that you look back at the other lessons about the notes that we did in class.